Hello, Mickey. Thank you for being with me today. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm excited.
Good. I'm having so much fun doing these interviews. So we're doing this collective case study of what is the collective experience of being in the Grown Ass Business Accelerator rather than picking a few outliers and highlighting certain outlier cases. I'm trying to collect as many people that I can from a recent cohorts to show kind of a collective story. So for the people, tell us a little bit briefly who you are and what you do
Okay. My name is
for
Mickey Wilson.
context.
For context, my name is Mickey Wilson, and even I am the CEO of Dot Connector Consulting. And I often tell people I was actually known as the Dot Connector before I even knew that I was going to start a business. Starting the business just happened. And so I am a super connector. I'm a connection strategist. People have called me a connections coach. So I live around all things connections. And what I support women solopreneurs with in particular is extracting the net worth out of their network. So I'm really big on just showing people how their everyday contacts can actually be a source of leads, collaborations, referral partners. It's really just finding kind of the cash flow within your contacts. So that's how I love to
Cool.
help people. I'm just bringing like the humanity back to the old school Rolodex.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And somebody called you when we did that extra messaging session at the round table. Somebody said something to you about you're like a Rolodex or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there were two things. One was he was like, you are like a human Rolodex. And I was like, yes, that's exactly how my brain works. And that's how I look at networking and everything. And then another gentleman said I was like a trusted advisor, a business confidant. And I said, oh, I love that because when I work with people, a lot of it's not just like a one-off strategy session. It's really people laying out everything that's going on between business and life and being able to put it on the table. And then my ability is to be able to see all those things and the interconnectedness of them and really just kind of connect the dots. And reflect it back to them in a way that makes sense for them. So a lot of times I find myself telling people like, I can see your vision, right? Because it all makes sense to me. And when I reflect it back to them, they're like, oh my God, you can see my vision. It's usually like they've gone to so many people that don't get it, or they only see the problem or the barrier, and where there's like an obstacle, I always see like opportunity. So yeah, it's been fun. When I heard those things, I was like, yes, okay, people are starting to see me, which was really awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. I remember when that happened. Okay, so do you remember, we've known each other for a bit of time actually, but do you remember when you came to me this time around, what was going on in your business, in your world that made you go, okay, Sally, now's the time. I got to come in and work with you. What was going on for you? What were biggest
Definitely.
challenges?
For context in the backtrack, I remember like a few quarters, it was like the end of last year. I sat in on the workshop that you did. And the first thing that resonated was like, I love how you're teaching business in your program essentially and focusing just on the things that matter, but also it's like the whole picture of business. You're not just talking about like the marketing or the operations or the finance. So it was like, what resonated was that big picture view you had of business and how you could actually run the business if you can see all these things. So that really carried with me. The moment super real talk, the moment was February, it was Black History Month. And this is the first time since pandemic that I wasn't getting a grant. Somebody wasn't asking me to speak somewhere. It was just, I showed up in a mastermind I was in, and I said, this is the first Black History Month in a long time, maybe the only Black History Month that I've ever like literally felt Black. I was struggling to pay my rent. I had to give up my office and I had debt like there. And it was just all these things kind of converging once in February that I just felt like, I don't know if I can do, like, that moment creeps in. I've had this moment a couple of times, but it was really real. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And even more, it was triggering a lot of like underlying like money traumas, this and everything. And I was just like, I know for a fact I'm an unemployable entrepreneur. I am the person, you could give me a job. I'm great at doing the work, but I'm ultimately going to tell you how to run the company because I can't not see the gaps in between things. So I was just there like, I have got to like figure this out. And so you'll appreciate this. The first thing I do when I'm kind of in that space is I need to like talk to people and I need to create some momentum. Like I have to get out of this space. I'll be in it, I'll breathe through it, but I have to get out of this space. And I don't know if I sent you like a DM or whatever, but it was basically like, that was like my call for help. Like, you know what? Sally gets me. And she said, you know, we see things, we're like soul sisters. And I was like, you're like one of the first people I reach out to, like, let me have a connection call. Let me see what's going on. And so I don't even know. I think it was yes, me, and I needed the program, but I also I think I needed to talk to somebody that in the realm of business that also got like where I was at because I was at the same place that like my clients are at. So that was it. So when we talked, I was like, you know what? I will figure it out. This is what I need right now. I'll figure out the rest because if I didn't make same thing I tell my people, if I didn't make a move forward, if I didn't do something different, if I didn't decide to change it, I was just going to sit inside of the shortest month of the year, still feeling like an imposter in my own business, right? And like March would have been tough. And because I think it's always, well, for me, it's important to be the business owner that shares the struggle, not for the struggle's sake, but because I think a lot of business owners and solopreneurs, especially, like silently struggle. Like I was tapping into my IRA that I brought with me from that corporate job, and that thing is like dwindling down. So it's like now I'm at the point I have to be very smart with money that I invest, and over the kind of illusion of everybody has the one, not the one solution that will fix it all, but it's like, it's not just a marketing problem. It's not just an operations problem. It's not more systems. I don't need more leads. In fact, it was so funny. I was like, I definitely don't need more leads right now. I just need like a solid offer. I need to know that I'm being profitable. I just need a plan. I also have ADHD. So for me and people like me, especially, we appreciate a focused plan that we can follow, because if we have to create our own plan, that thing has so many pathways. It's just like a thread that starts like unraveling. So I knew I needed to focus. I knew I needed somebody that knew business as well as I did, but had a solution that I obviously didn't have. And when I've been talking to people lately, I said, look, I have 3 degrees. I have a business degree. I teach business. I teach in entrepreneurship. I teach marketing. 5 years, I don't have a sustainable business. So like, let's stop the insanity. I've gone through my trial by fire, right? I've gone through the struggles of an entrepreneur, but I also knew like, look, and it's so funny when you said this the other day, yeah, the people that think like, I've got this, I can figure it out on my own, totally that person, whether I like it or not. And I just came to the point where I was like, you can't do business alone. Every coach needs a good coach. Like I just heard all this stuff that I'd actually learned, and I was like, all right, well, we've tried it ourselves. Let's try being like, it's not even about 6-figure for me. I'm like, let's just be a sustainable business owner. Let's just be able to still
Yeah.
show up and serve. And I'm all about the long-term game. But yeah, that's the culmination of kind of like how it happens. But February, I was sitting in this desk positioned a slight different way. And I really was like in despair, like, dude, this is not it, but I don't really have any other options, especially in this economy. Like having having a career, just even having one line of revenue, like I can't go from being able to create lines of revenue to having like just a paycheck. So yeah, February was fun. It also wasn't that long ago. So I feel a lot better now
Yeah.
than I did
Yeah.
in February. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that because I think you're right. Often don't share the imposter syndrome. That's become a coin term, and it's coined and everyone uses it. But I don't think many entrepreneurs talk about that. Oh, I'm having those feelings of, is this even for me? And am I supposed to be doing this? And like, this isn't working. And I think we all have those moments. We absolutely all across the board have those moments, or that recurring thought. It's not just a one. I appreciate you admitting that it's not a one day thing, but that is something that most entrepreneurs and coaches don't admit. So I think it's important for people to know that if you're in that space and feeling that way, it's okay, and there is a solution. So, and you've like laid it out really well already. So quickly, can you tell me, once you were in program, we got you in, what surprised you? What was like an aha moment, or what surprised you about the experience? Because it's a very particular intentional experience. So what surprised you?
How easy well, you don't, because I don't want to go with the coin term, how easy it is to run a business, because again, jokingly, I say, like, if you don't think about shutting down your business like once a quarter, like then you're not like a true entrepreneur. Like those internal things, right? Because we love what we do. But what surprised me was there was one system that allowed me to look at the most important aspects of my business and actually gamify it. In my mind, this is how I see it, but gamify it, because I realized that if I stayed in this system, played with numbers, put in certain information that I was getting from people and everything, it just allowed me to make better decisions based on the data I have. And it's a very corporate sounding answer, but I don't want to go with like, oh, it was easy. It made me, but yeah, I could just go in and do this. It wasn't that. I still have to work within the system, and I still have to like get data and talk to people and things. But what surprised me, oh, here we go. Sometimes I just have to talk it out. What surprised me is all my offers weren't profitable, and that there was actually a pricing strategy, a formula, so that I could create profitable offers. There it is, first and foremost. Because what I was
That's a good one. Thank you for calling that out.
People are, because I've been in enough communities and I've seen it enough that people arbitrarily pull these abstract numbers that feel good. I mean, I've done it too, like the 1111s and the 333s and everything, and that feels great if you're challenging yourself to raise your prices. But for me, I can't sell or offer somebody something with confidence if I don't actually understand the mechanics of the thing that I created. So I would ask people, like, is there a pricing strategy? How do I price my things? The funny thing, again, I have the business degree, so I forgot about, the profitability formula. But just that simple piece of information, and reminding that and being like, oh my God, my expenses actually include not just my computer software, my healthcare, paying myself. It was the first time that I actually could put on paper that I was
put it
paying
into
myself.
the formula. Yes.
Yeah, that was it. So that was like the most surprising, shouldn't be surprising, but surprising thing is that, like, oh my God, this pricing strategy, this formula for profitability, and the fact that I will only create profitable offers. Oh, that was the game changer. I think that was the first thing. There were many things in there, but once I could put in the numbers and see, like, it makes zero sense for me to have a strategy session, because nobody wants to pay $2,000 for a 90-minute session, right? And I'm not
I
trying to
remember
be
that
that.
Yeah, I remember you had that
Can't do
realization of,
strategy
I thought I
sessions.
was going to do these one-off strategy sessions, but then when I put it into this formula, I realized it's not profitable and the price I have to price it at doesn't make sense. So that
Yep.
offer no longer makes sense in my offer
Rather give
suite.
them
I
away
was
for
like,
free.
yeah, I was like, there, yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
that was
Good
like the
work.
big thing. And you know what's funny? The story behind that is I started those sessions to really kind of figure out what my magic was. And they were $250. And to me, that was like great. That's the money mindset that I was in back then. I was like, oh, I'll roll out of bed for $250 for like an hour, you know? But then people were like, Mickey, $250, these should be like 500, right? And I'm like, okay. But in my mind, didn't really have a justification other than people telling me that I'm great, right? And I haven't really run into anybody that's like, you suck. So like this, so it's great they're telling me that, but I was like, okay, they could be $500. Again, when I figured out the profitability, I said, oh, it's great. I've tested these and they're probably part of the coaching program I do now. But even the sense of control I had when I was like, okay, not doing strategy sessions, but also I could give away free strategy sessions and use those in a more useful way to get people to my coaching program. So
Yep.
not worrying about pricing then freed up creativity in how, okay, if I'm not going to do strategy sessions, what is the most beneficial container for the client that I work with? I was no longer really worrying about, I need to be at this price so I can make this much. I was more at like, okay, this offer is profitable and I really feel good about this. What would the next step be? So I'm being more intentional because I'm not being driven by, my money triggers. So, and
Yeah.
that's helpful too. When you can take away things like that, that constant like fear of like, I have to make this much. I want to hit six figures. It was never about that for me. I was like, just give me self-control over my business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I call the master tool that we use. That's why I call it the CEO Control Center, because I'm like, look, I know we're not supposed to say we know that everything's out of our control, but the truth is, as business owners, we want control, and this is the best way to get it is when you understand these systems and how to use them to your benefit. So,
Yep.
and I love that you said that because I firmly believe you can't just raise your prices because someone told you to, or because you compared your prices to someone else's. I've had
Yeah.
clients, privately be like, after doing my whole lesson on pricing strategy, they would come to me and show me their whole competitive analysis of other people's prices. And my fear is, I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care what their prices are for the
Yep.
same service. That's not how I teach pricing strategy. Pricing strategy is, who are you? Where are you at? What are your goals? What's profitable for you? What do you need to survive? Because some people in the world might charge $250 an hour for a strategy session, and that might be awesome for them, right?
Yep.
So if we're pricing ourselves based on comparison, or we're pricing ourselves because somebody's like, oh, girl, that was too cheap, like that's trying to put a value on a number rather than understanding, what are my bills, what are my expenses, what are my goals, what am I building? Like there's a way to price a product and an offer. So thank you for calling that out, because I am very much against the like just raise your prices just because thing, or just because somebody else is charging something. Like my clients always say to me, you could charge so much more for the accelerator because of everything that you do and give in there. And I'm like, I know. But I also understand where I'm at in my journey. This is only my second year in this business. I'm relatively unknown on the interwebs,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, yes, I understand that my program's better than that program that you paid $10,000 for. I know that and I understand that, but I don't have that person's audience and marketing department and clout yet. So I also understand that, right? So there is a whole formula to pricing, and I appreciate you bringing that up because it's really important. It can't be just this
It's
arbitrary, I feel
I
it
think
kind of.
yeah, I think too what you do, I think what you're also doing, and I think you may be aware of it, it's definitely feels intentional, is there's no like code switching or gatekeeping. That's the thing that I've known about teaching business, working inside of a business and everything is like, when I open up the textbook to business, right? My students are just like, oh my God, I have to know all this. And in my head, I'm like, I mean, it's nice that you can know all this. Everything in business is like a double entendre. There's like 5 words for the same thing, especially when you get into the land of marketing, right? Everything, right? Is a funnel, a journey, like everything. But my thing was like, I always said this, like, business doesn't have to be this hard. And I feel like it's being made difficult intentionally. It can be simple, but the simplicity in the ease, that's the thing I wanted to say about the system. The system allows me ease because I'm not worrying about 20 different things. I can stay focused. And that's what makes it feel easy. And with my clients, I'm like, look, if your business is not fun and filled with like this sense of ease, then you're definitely not doing it right. Because life is hard enough and we shouldn't be building things that literally make us feel bad. And so, yeah, that's just my thing. I think that people make, I don't know who the people are, but the people out there that make business seem like, oh my God, you need to know this. And no, you need to get your master's. I'm not slamming the colleges. I'm just saying everybody has different pathways.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just,
absolutely.
yeah, it's just that
I see
business
coaches
doesn't
give
have to
free
be a,
workshops and they purposely dizzy you so that you're like, oh gosh, I didn't really understand what he just taught and I didn't
yeah,
understand that
I
presentation.
need
So now
this.
I
I
have to
need
give him
this.
my money.
No.
I've seen a lot of colleagues do that. So
No.
yeah, I'm very like the opposite. I'm like, let's just open the gates.
I just
Here's
want
how it
people to
works.
be happy and in ease. So if I can feel like this, I tell people all the time, look, if I can feel like this and I can do this, you can definitely do this. And that's what I was looking to create for my clients. And that I think now that I can create that for myself, right? This sense of ease. When I go to the control center, it feels fun because again, I'm in control. I get to paint the picture. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to show up every day like, oh, what do I have to do today to keep this thing floating, right? It's like, oh no, I just have to go here. But now I can pass that energy on because that's lifted for me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not like, look, I'm here in this life to literally just live as easy as possible and have as much fun while doing, the business part I love. So it's always going to
Yeah.
be business, but it shouldn't, nobody should build a business that they hate. And that's the problem half the time when we don't know what we don't know. We end up building something that's like, oh, looks like abstract like Picasso right now. And then what do? We break it apart and build it again. But especially in a post-pandemic world, we just don't have the luxury of taking 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to build a business from scratch and, build like 5 businesses before we get it right. I definitely wasn't going to be in the band camp of like being, yeah. Actually, if I look back, I already built 2 businesses that I shut down within like probably 48 hours after starting them because people wanted the thing that I had, but I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. This feels overwhelming. Stop right
Right.
here. So
Right.
yeah, we just don't have that kind of time. So
Absolutely. Well, what would you say? You're fresh out of this most recent cohort, but what would you say are some of the results you've received from this program?
oh, let's see. I have profitable offers, regardless if they're like selling them right is the intention, but regardless if they're being sold, just the ease of knowing that I have profitable offers. I have a signature offer. I don't have to have a million offers. I just have like 2 things that work right now. One builds on top of the other. So having profitable offers, being able to clarify my vision and my positioning. I was actually also struggling with the fact of like, I just didn't believe anybody knew what being a connector really meant or any of that stuff. And so I spiraled down to like trying to do all these different things. And I was ultimately confusing my market. So it's like, it was perfect timing. A friend had a conversation with me right before I entered the program, was like, I wish you would just get back to like connecting the dots and like being that person that women are magnetized to and you're just like solving their problems. And I was like, well, people told me I couldn't get paid for that. So now the system proves that I can actually get paid for connecting the dots.
Mhm.
So that was like instantaneous stuff. The first, after the 4 days, and then really working through the pieces of the through the system, through the control center, I was just like, oh, all right, well, we only need, it just helped me simplify everything. I just need one profitable offer that I can talk about, and that will build momentum. What are the pieces of marketing that I actually like? My favorite thing was I can do what I do best. You told me just to focus on connection calls. Like that's how I'm going to create momentum. That's how I'm going to create conversions, right? Is just start conversations and connect with people. And I was like, okay, I can, even if I can't do that, there's a problem. But sometimes we don't have to be doing all the things. Sometimes we just have to talk to people. And it brought me back. Your program in the control center actually brings me back to when I started my business, which is funny because that's probably when I was most clear before any of the finding any of the things. It was that place of just wanting to have fun, just wanting to work with women, but then at the same time, being in that control center was just like, yeah, it was just like, we just connect dots. We get paid to do this. It just brought me back to the beginning and said, the system proves you can do all of this. You just have direction now. So it was so many things within the 1 week, because just by looking at what you need to look at and focus on what you need to focus on, everything became doable. I was like, oh, I just have to like talk to 1 million people. I just have to have conversations and connect with people. And that's what I wanted to say. I sent out one email when I first started my business, and I just told people there's 3 ways you can help me. Do you need my services? Do you know somebody that needs my services? Or if, the situation comes up, will you like just tell somebody about me? That one email lasted me for like a whole year. I got a couple of clients. I was figuring the things out. So by coming back to like, just make connection calls, reach out to people, it brought me back to that place of like, especially for me and what I do in business is, oh my God, I have this huge network that I've built. I'm not talking to them. I'm out looking for new people. I'm looking for the leads that I don't need.
We're always out there like trying to attract the new leads. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just reminded me, I have a network already. And I think this is anybody that would go into your program, they already have a network. The control system, the control center even allows you just to focus on the people that you know already. You're not doing anything new. That's the crazy part. You're really not doing anything new. You're just looking, it just makes you look at the business in a way where you can control the vision instead of be like a manager like of the vision. And again, when I started business, I was like, all right, I want to run the business. I don't want the business to run me. And I think that's what you've achieved in your program. You're giving people the autonomy, you're empowering them, whether they take it or not. Because some people be like, oh, okay, I'm great, go off on their own. And the system, like the system may still not system, but you're giving the autonomy and the empowerment to say like, oh, okay, I can be a solopreneur. I can be a solo CEO. I can run this business by myself when I can see the big picture. The person that is being run by the business, they're in the position of they're jumping around to those different departments, right? Every day. And that gets like tiring. So that's why we all want the time, the energy, and the money back. That's the problem. It's just that we have to be willing to like want to change and find that control. It doesn't have to be hard. I think we make it harder than it has to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's always my motto. And I will also add, because people always forget to say some of their results, we applied a particular tool to your business and started creating that hit list and how you're going to intentionally go down a particular hit list, which you really took on with vigor, which I love. But you also in this time closed clients.
I did. I know. I was going to start out with that.
People always forget to be like, oh yeah, and
the
money.
Results.
Oh yeah, and money. Yeah, but you while in the program, you closed.
Yeah.
Like you came in a place where you were really stressed and you actually closed clients while you've been in this very intense short container.
Yeah, the process was once we were in the profitability part, that's when I started really looking at my offers. The opportunity I had that was happening at the same time is I was invited to speak at a women's empowerment conference. So I had I brought in some leads at the same time, and through the control center, I created a profitable offer that I felt good about offering to people that wanted to work with me. And so, yeah, got those babies out, the proposals out, and got them locked and loaded. And then even their energy made me know, like, oh, I'm on track. Like, I have focused this. So yeah, two prospects instantly sent out proposals. At least, well, within the program, I had booked about like 10 connection calls, and now it's just kind of like this momentum of I'm reaching out to people that I'm like, oh my God, I haven't connected with them. Just like the connection, creating the connections, not new ones, but just saying, inviting people back to catch up on, here's where I've been, this is what I'm doing, how are you doing? That's even resulted in people saying like, oh, I love this is what you're doing now. I think I have some people I can refer to you. So again, it's just that the instant results are yes, booking and money. And that was very helpful, especially for Q2. I can sense the revenue in the pipeline because I can feel the energy of people being excited that I seem to like be back in a better way. I can answer their questions about like what I'm offering so they know who to connect to me. And then you have another speaking opportunity. So I'm actually looking forward to reporting back.
Amazing.
We pick up some stuff from that. So it really shifted the momentum. And closing, booking those proposals was important, but even more important was, I think energy is like a currency too, right? We like money is a financial, like a financial energy currency, but I could just also feel the shift in that, like, this is possible. I can do this. It's not as hard when you decide to put yourself out there. But yeah, I can't wait to report back, because if that's what happens within the program in 4 weeks, what's 4 months going to look like is what I keep thinking.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Well, I can't wait to see. I'm so excited. Thank you for doing this with me today, for being here, for being so insightful and thorough. And I think it's really helpful for the people who are curious. And I look forward to seeing you
I
on
look forward to
this
seeing you
next
too.
round.
Yes.